What's up, YouTube? And gotta get some views. It's hard to get views, but check this out. I know a lot of people don't like the truth. And like I said, since they don't want me to teach in school, and I'm gonna teach on YouTube. Alright? Black people, we have a history of having post-traumatic slave syndrome. Post-traumatic slave syndrome. What that means is, like, for instance, black person will make fun of another black person nose. They'll make fun of a person's lips. Say you got a big nose or big lips, or they'll talk about your skin color or your hair or whatever the case may be. I was sitting up here earlier watching a um, Marvin Gaye video, and all the sisters had their natural hair in the video. What happened? Okay, so again, a lot of us, we have post-traumatic slave syndrome. A lot of sisters, had to nurse white women, had to comb their hair, play in their hair, and different things like that. Just, it's kind of psychological, like that bailiff was playing in that white girl hair, Amber Geiger. I see a lot of sisters, flicking their hair like white girls, moving their hair like white girls, all that stuff, But what I want to talk about is something, a little bit deep. Like, I know a lot of black females and black males, you've heard your mom or your grandmother call somebody a cow, call somebody a heifer. And even, a lot of black men, what's up, young buck? Stuff like that. Well, that comes from slavery. Young black females, the young girls, from babies on to like 10 years old was called yearlings. And from 11 to, I'm going to say, maybe 18, maybe even younger than that, it would call heifers. Let me say around 18, y'all would call heifers. And, once you were in your 20s, you were basically, especially had children, you were considered a cow. So then you wonder why, a lot of females, males, whatever, they call girls cows and heifers. I've heard it my whole life, I've heard females be referred to as heifer, bald-headed heifer. That's a no good cow. Heard it my whole life, heifers and cows. Never really heard yearlings too much, but after doing research, that's what they called them, yearlings. That's what the slave masters would refer to them, as yearlings. And we all know that black males were called bucks, but they also was called mares, and they also were called bulls. If you were a strong black male, you were called a bull. A buck could be, a lot of bucks were considered, like young guys. A lot of teenagers were called bucks. In mares, they used to refer to a lot of black men as mares, like a male horse. Usually those were adult males also. That could be all kind of black men. They used to call them mares. But that's how they referred to us, as animals. And again, since this is not in the history books, this is not being taught in school, I'm going to teach it to my people on video. So again, they used to refer to young girls from babies all the way to 10. They call them yearlings. From 11 to, I'm going to say around 18, 19, they call them heifers. And when you're, 20s, of course, back then, all girls, most females had children, so you were cows. And when white men, whether they owned slaves, rented slaves, because a lot of people don't know that people used to rent out slaves because they couldn't afford to own them, they used to rent them out. You know, it wasn't just a slave master. Slave master had brothers. He had overseers. Overseer had a person work underneath him. So females were rented out all the time. But when a white man, you know, whether he came in town for business or, you know, he lived around the way or whatever, you know, and when they wanted to have sex, they always preferred a heifer. The heifers, well, I'm gonna say 12 to make basically, like I said, 18. You know, it depends on, you know, having children or not. And they would take cows, but they also, if there were no available cows or first available heifers, they would take a yearling, and this was 10 and under. If there was no female for their liking sexually, heifer wise or cow wise, they would settle for a yearling. It's facts. And in terms of mating, they always, you know, preferred the female slave. You want to call a heifer or whatever. You know, she will mate with a buck or a bull. Again, a mare could be, um, you know, a 60-year-old man who worked in a house. You know, a butler. He still was. Everybody basically was a mare, but everybody wasn't a buck, and everybody wasn't a bull. But again, this is not what's taught in the school books. It's not taught in the school system. There's things that they don't want you to know, but this is how they refer to us as a people. Like, comment, subscribe. Tommy Forte, aka Tommy Israel.